Hey there, Smite fans, and welcome to a different sort of video. This one's not going to be a prediction video. This one's not going to be covering anything that you would find in the client. It's going to be covering AVGL, the Collegiate League for Smite. The finals will be going on this Sunday, and it's going to look insane to see these two teams come up against each other because both of them, so far, have been undefeated going forward, and it's been a hell of a ride watching these two teams play, and now we finally get to see how exactly they're going to handle each other in the finals. And I really want to cover the win condition. What exactly can each of these teams do to find themselves that win and come home with a big chunk of change for these finals and feel kind of comfortable, get those bragging rights? And really, both of these teams have a lot of potential. I personally think this is going to go to a game 3 and kind of be a coin flip as to who's going to be able to win. That being said, going into the strategies for these two teams and what exactly we can expect to see out of them is going to be the main point of this video. And honestly, I feel like Tarrant County College is a little bit easier to break down as a whole, and that's where I'm going to go ahead and start. So Tarrant County College is one of these teams that is very, very strong. They have got Day to Remember on it, which, if people do not remember, he is the one who was on the team of Oxygen Supremacy, who was able to run a huge chunk of the gauntlet. He plays ADC for them, and he plays ADC here for Tarrant County as well. Dingo Dial is a very strong Guardian player. A lot of people would recognize him for the Sobek play, but he's expanded that God pool to an insane amount and is very, very well versed. Cardiac is another mid laner who has a very talented god pool and is very strong, although some gods, of course, he is stronger at than others, and really has been able to show a lot of prowess bringing this team together as that essential glue to hold the jungle, the solo, the guardian, and the hunter all together. Puckham, kind of in the same boat as Cardiac. He's very strong, although he's much stronger on certain gods than others, but he has become the quintessential jungler. He knows exactly where his rotations need to be. He's very good at keeping his lanes ahead and farming. And then, of course, Osath over there in the solo lane is a very strong solo laner. Again, another wide god pool, and usually able to kind of come out either in a stalemate or winning his lane and make the rotations his team needs early on to kind of get the advantage that they have. And that's exactly what I want to talk about. This is a team that doesn't fight, but that's misleading. They fight, but they don't fight for about 15 minutes. They will fight you. If you aggress into them, they will kind of absorb you and either turn it around, or they will just kind of keep it going the way it was. If they lose a couple members, they don't tend to care as much because their goal is the farm. They want the experience, they want the gold, and that's exactly what they go for. Almost every time I've watched this team, they have found themselves in a position where they can push forward and they start to take your jungle, they start to control it, and even if they're not getting kills, they're pushing you in lane. They're keeping control of the map all around. They don't go for early gold furies, they don't try to sneak anything unless they are absolutely sure they can get that without you having any chance over there. And while there will be big fights going on in the first 15 minutes, we aren't looking at a high kill game. This is kind of the passive play that Tarrant County has tended to favor, where 15 minutes of farm. And then all of a sudden, the next fight that you are in with them, they have more items than you, they are higher level than you, and they just steamroll you. And that has kind of been their play style, is get ahead and get it done. And that's really kind of what I expect to see. Honestly, when it comes to like picks and bans and things like that, this team, a lot of them have a very wide god pool. Honestly, I'd say the only person who might get affected would probably be Puckham and Osath. Those two have just slightly less success on other solo laners or junglers than they do on certain ones, but overall, they are very much in control, and they are very strong. The way they can win this, the way that they come out on top and get that first place, is essentially to do exactly what they've been doing all season. Get ahead, win the fight. Day becomes a late game carry. Puckham and Dingo Dial and Cardiac kind of transition them from the early to mid game to late game where Day is allowed to be there. Osath kind of joins in the mid to late game transition, and really they work together as a unit. They work really well together, and because of that, they have a very strong shot at winning. And really, when it comes down to it, there's not a lot they need to change in order to go forward, although maybe practice a little bit more, get some comfortable other picks out just to make sure that you're not relying too heavily on any one or two gods. But other than that, I mean, I expect to see pretty much the exact same thing we've seen out of them. I do expect Stony Brook to kind of throw that into a loop for them, but overall, Tarrant County are a strong team, and really, there's nothing to change about their playstyle. On the other side, though, Stony Brook is kind of the opposite. Now, they do have that kind of late game carry potential, and I think that they have a much wider spread of who will be the carry, but they are much more fighting oriented. Early game, they will pick a fight with you, and they will turn that into an advantage. They won't just grab the pick and then do nothing with it. They will take your jungle away. They will do the same thing that we see Tarrant County do, but Tarrant County isn't focused on the kills, and I think that's the big difference between the two teams in that respect, is that Tarrant County will drop the kill immediately to go and get the experience, the gold, whatever, and not overextend, whereas Stony Brook sometimes does have the issue of going a little bit too far just to confirm the kill when they could have confirmed something else. That being said, they are very aggressive, and they're very good at being aggressive as a unit. I'm mainly looking at Mort, Sir Bomberman, and Sam for Soccer 2 here. All three of those in that kind of mid-lane matchup are going to be forcing the fight. Being able to kind of force that forward, I actually expect to see their 3v3 be a little bit stronger, especially depending on picks and bans. Giggle is going to more than likely just kind of go toe-for-toe with Osath. It could go either way, really. Again, that one depends on the matchup. And Mando, while there's a chance for him to solo and or be soloed, both the ADCs more than likely are just going to kind of passively play. They'll rotate over when their team needs them, but for the most part, their goal is farm. So how does Stony Brook win this game? Stony Brook has been a team kind of opposite of Tarrant County. So Tarrant County waits about 15 minutes and then starts to steamroll after they've been able to kind of grind up the lead that they've been able to maintain at that point, taking the jungle buffs, taking objectives, and just kind of passively playing until they're ahead. Stony Brook does not passively do that. They will fight you every step of the way for that lead. And they are much more early game fight oriented, not necessarily in their picks, but just in their playstyle, that they want to go forward and try to fight you. So the way I honestly see this team winning is not really in game, although I do think that they need to kind of force Tarrant County to play their game, where the same side, Tarrant County, has to force Stony Brook to play their game. Both of them, having those different playstyles, have to force the other team into their match. But Stony Brook wins this one more in picks and bans than anything. Now, Tarrant County, like I said, a lot of them do have a relatively wide god pool. Of course, we've mainly seen Data Remember on Rom. We've mainly seen Cardiac kind of hover between 3 picks. I honestly most remember Vulcan coming out from him. Sir Bomberman and Stony Brook here have been running more of a double kind of hunter composition. I've seen Sir Bomberman play a lot of hunters, but he can also play a lot of mages. And really, when I look at the names here for Stony Brook, I feel like all of them have just a slight more, overall, from Tarrant County, just a slightly bigger god pool across all 5 members. And the reason I say that is because when we look at Tarrant County, Puckham has hit or miss games depending on the god he is playing. He knows the rotations, he knows where he needs to be, but comfort is something else that he needs as a jungler. And really, I've seen him hover the Susano and the Hunbats, and those have been his kind of most successful 2 gods, whereas Stony Brook, Sam for Soccer can pull out a Najah or an Awelish and just steamroll you still. So I expect to see Stony Brook kind of do their homework, study a little bit of the picks and bans that have come out of Tarrant County College, and be able to take the advantage specifically because they take away the comfort picks for Tarrant County. Now, when I look at it, I honestly have no idea who will win in these matchups. Both of these teams are incredibly strong. Both of them have potential to bring it all. I personally expect a game 3. Like I said earlier, I think it's going to be a flip of a coin. One of these teams is going to be able to win. The other one is going to be just a very, very close second. And Stony Brook, I believe it relies on them getting the right picks and bans and forcing Tarrant County College to fight earlier, whereas for Tarrant County, I kind of expect it to be the opposite. They can do picks and bans. They're not as worried whether or not they get exactly what they want, although maybe want to focus something for Puckham, just because, again, he's been widely successful on certain junglers, and then other junglers, it has been bad news for Tarrant County. Not enough that it's been removal of the game for them, but just enough that it's been in an uncomfortable position moving forward. If they're able to get what they want, if they are able to fight the way they want to, then honestly, both of these teams have the best potential, and I think this is going to be some of the best games that AVGL has been able to see. There is one pin in all of this that I would like to point out, and that is just mainly that we are going to be having Tarrant County come in with a couple members having that LAN experience already, whereas Stony Brook, I believe, is going to be coming in essentially cold turkey. It's going to be a little interesting and a change of environment, but I think both these teams are strong enough to kind of get past that and adapt to that play early on. They're both very adaptable. And honestly, I could probably sit down, pin out who I want to win, who I think will win, or whatever. But when it comes down to it, I think we're going to have 3 fantastic games of Smite. I think both of these teams have a very good potential to win. Both of them really know their win condition already. They know what to expect going forward, and it's going to be very interesting to see how exactly they're going to be handling this on Sunday when the games are streamed. So with that, like you, I'm just going to be sitting around waiting for the games to start up, and hopefully we get to see some of the best Smite that we've seen in AVGL. But just like you guys, I'm going to be sitting around and waiting for these games to start on Sunday morning. It's going to be very fun to watch. I'm personally incredibly excited to see these two teams finally go at it, and I think they have a lot of potential, and really it's going to be fun to watch. And honestly, I'm kind of hoping to see some of these guys not necessarily show up in the next season. I think a few of them have quite the potential to go forward into the Pro League, and I think that's probably going to be something that happens. With that, though, I'm going to just kind of end this video here, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video covering whatever exactly it is that it will be covering.